What's happening, everyone? Welcome to the very first episode of the Dirty Brawlers Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about UFC 235, the preview, the title fights, the storylines, everything about Saturday night here on the show. Roger Romo checks into the Dirty Brawlers Podcast to talk about his experiences with world champions, training, sparring, doing all of that good stuff. And of course, we're going to talk a little bit about Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence. A full menu for the first episode of the show. Ladies, gentlemen, you do not want to miss this. Here we go. Finally, after weeks of preparation, it's here. The Dirty Brawlers Podcast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this very first episode. It is an absolute honor. It is a pleasure to be speaking to you again. Doing this that I love the most, speaking into a microphone about sports, particularly here, talking about fighting. If you guys do not know who I am, my name is Alex Perez. I hosted other podcasts before. I am a video editor. I am an audio editor. I'm a podcaster. I'm a student. I do a lot of stuff. And one of my biggest passions is fighting. Not necessarily with gloves on, but I love to watch fights. And, that's what we're going to talk about today. That's what we're going to talk about bi-weekly every Wednesday. You guys can catch this podcast on Anchor. Soon, we'll have it on Apple Podcasts. We'll have it on Google Play. And just to give you guys a bit of a taste before we actually dive into the show today, we're going to have a lot of MMA. We're going to have a lot of boxing. We're even going to have some pro wrestling. So if you guys enjoy all those things, then this is definitely the place for you. If you like to listen to just people talking about fighting or whatever, this is the place for you. Subscribe to the show. Follow the show. Follow us on Twitter at Dirty Brawlers, on Twitter, on Instagram. I'm working on the Facebook page, so I don't know if it'll be ready by the time this goes up. If it is, facebook.com/Dirty Brawlers, and if it's not, well, look out for it. But how about we get started? UFC 235. This is going to be a hell of a card, but I can't do this by myself. I need some people. I need some backup. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. UFC 235 is going down this weekend. We have Mike Straus and Miguel Ocampo joining the Dirty Brawlers Podcast for the first time ever. Guys, thank you for being here. Let's fucking talk some MMA, because that's what you guys know how to do best, right?
I think so.
I like listening to Mike.
Yeah, Mike is he's the OG of this MMA shit. If you guys don't know, which you probably should, Mike is a writer. He hosts his own podcast. He's on YouTube. He does interviews. He does all this shit. Cool ass dude. And then obviously, Miguel, big MMA fan, big boxing fan, just like me. So I think we make a pretty good team. Good dynamic here with expert and two big fans, right?
Yes,
I
sir.
think so.
All right, guys, let's start off with our biggest storylines heading into Saturday night. I'm going to start off with you, Mike. What do you think what are you looking out for the most, UFC 235?
Well, I think the big one, right, is John Jones versus Anthony Smith. Can Anthony Smith, the journeyman who's been doing this for over a decade, kind of never really had his title shot on a big stage. You know, he finally gets it after all this time. I might add, he's a super cool guy. I've had a chance to speak with him a few times before. Well, I should say, as he was making this run, I spoke to him most recently before his last fight. And even then he was talking about this John Jones fight, like, you know, if he could stay on this run. Just a super cool guy, man. I'm happy for him. But the big story is, can he get it done? And I don't know, man. I mean, I'm sure we'll make picks later. That's a monumental thing he's being asked to do there. But that's the big storyline. Other than that, man, Ben Askren, he's making his debut. That's big. That's big time. You know, can Ben Askren, can his 18-0 record, is it a legit 18-0? You know, we're gonna find out, because Robbie Lawler's no joke. So I think those are the big two.
All right, Miguel, what do you think?
For me, just a little, I guess, the same thing, but just reverse. I'm actually really much looking forward to how Ben Askren takes on the UFC. I mean, this guy he's proven he's undefeated. But come on, man, you can't forget about Robbie Lawler. So that's first and foremost. But I am interested just because like Mike mentioned, Smith has been on his he's been around for a while, even though he's only reached the spotlight recently. John Jones with this much activity, when was the last time he got such a quick turnaround? And how he's willing to deal with all the pressure on him on the picogram and all that other stuff. So I know he has some pressure on him now. So I'd be interested to see how that deals with, or how he deals with that. Also, something that I caught from Anthony Smith is that I don't see the height of this event really getting to him. Really, I think he's really down to earth. I think he deals with what's in front of him. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah, Ben Askren is for sure what's gonna be having me at the edge of my seat on Saturday.
Yeah, that's a fact because people, at least some people, are trying to downplay what Ben Askren is for MMA, and some people are saying that he's not really a big deal. I think he's a pretty big deal, but to add to your guys' storylines, something that I'm personally looking out for is Cody Garbrandt. How is he going to look in his return fight? When was the last time he fought? August? Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
2 TJ fights.
Yeah, back-to-back losses, and I just want to see how he can deal with this type of pressure. These were his first 2 losses as a professional MMA fighter. And I want to see, has he added anything to his arsenal? Is he still going to rely on the big power shots? What's going to happen if he gets taken down by Pedro Munoz? So that's going to be very interesting for at least for me. I think Cody Garbrandt's a good fighter. He's a meathead. He's a knucklehead. He's not very smart, but I like seeing him fight. He's very crisp with his combinations, but I just want to see, has he added anything since August?
I think most importantly also how he can deal with a loss, because has he really he lost his first fight against TJ. As you can see, he did go into that second contest a little, I saw some stiffness. He kind of let the moment get to him a little bit also. I think he was a little tense. He wasn't as fluid with his hands. And before the initial TJ loss, he went into every fight with a lot of confidence. I don't know if he went in with that same confidence into this second TJ fight, and I don't know if he's going to go into this next contest with that same confidence that he used to have.
That's the thing, too.
Those are good points. Those are really, really good points, too. And the point I wanted to piggyback, too, off a point that he had made earlier is the last time John Jones had this quick of a turnaround, man, check this out, 2013. That's the last time he fought in April and then again in September. That's the last time he's fought within 5 months. That's crazy. That's 2013. That's enough.
That's a long time.
That's definitely going to play a factor, man. That's a good point.
That is huge. That definitely is. So that's definitely something to look out for. And then going back to what Miguel was saying about Cody Garbrandt, thanks for that stat, Mike. He did look really stiff. He looked nervous. He looked like he didn't want to pull the trigger. So that adds to my storyline. And another question that I have, is he going to be aware enough to know when to finish off the fight, if it ever gets to that instance? And if it doesn't, if he for some reason can't get Pedro Munoz out of there, if the fight leads to that, what can he do? Can he win a decision like he did against Dominic Cruz? I think the fight against Dominic Cruz, not making any excuses for Dominic, but that was just a perfect night for Cody and a not so great night for Dominic Cruz. That's how I see it, at least. Yeah, go ahead.
Pedro Munoz is no joke, dude. There's no easy fights in the UFC, but I think we could all agree that if a guy's coming off of a loss or two, there is beneficial matchmaking that you can kind of give a fighter, a favorable matchup.
Yeah.
This is not one of those cases, man. Pedro Munoz is a badass dude. He's legit, dude. So this is a tough fight for Cody.
Well, something I actually wanted to get your opinion on, both of you.
Mm-hmm.
Last time that we saw Woodley, we kind of stepped over the Woodley-Usman fight.
Yeah.
But the last time Woodley fought somebody that was so intensive on the ground, which was Damian Maia, he was able to stuff absolutely. Well, I think the a very high percentage, if not 100% of Damian Maia's takedowns. However, that fight, Maia was criticized afterwards for not being able to mix it up. He didn't use his striking at all, and if he did, it was just that left hand, which made his approach so one-dimensional. And with somebody like Usman that actually mixes it up a little bit before shooting for his single or for his double, and a very high-pressure fighter, how do you think he's going to deal with it differently, if he's going to deal with it differently?
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to, honestly, man. Usman's he's a tough out, but, you know, I don't know if you guys watch the countdown shows, the UFC 235. You know, every pay-per-view they do a countdown show. I watched it. I caught it earlier today, and I think that Woodley made a good point that's kind of being overlooked. Is one of Usman's strength is his wrestling, and he kind of uses it in reverse to keep the fight standing now because he's fallen in love with his boxing. But he takes the fight down to the ground a lot and controls and kind of Khabibs it, but not to that level, right? But the point that Woodley made was Usman is a Division II champion. That's great, and there's a lot of accomplishment, and then he's not taking anything away from that. Woodley is a Division I, and the Division I and II is night and day. You know, it's apples to oranges. It's not even the same sport. So Usman's been able to dominate this thus far in his career, but he's facing a guy that I believe that he's just never seen anything like in Woodley. I think that Woodley is one of those guys that isn't going to truly fully be appreciated until he's gone, you know, because what he's doing right now, and it took me a while too to get on the bandwagon because I don't know, whatever it is, he's not a super likable guy, right? But once you're there, you realize, wow, he really is a complete champion. He really is a complete martial artist, and he's good, man. Woodley's very good, and I don't see how Usman can beat him in any facet of the game. I don't know. Am I missing something, guys?
No, I think you read all my notes, Mike, because I have the same exact thoughts about Tyron Woodley. I learned my lesson. I'm not going to doubt him anymore. I'm not going to pick against him anymore.
I do agree with Mike greatly, and especially in this particular matchup. I don't want to dive too into it unless we're going into the fights completely at this point.
We'll keep it for the end. We'll talk about the prelims in a bit. But go ahead, finish your point.
To be brief, I just think that I agree with Mike. When he fought Till in his last contest, although I did like what I saw in Till and I did like the show that he would bring, I there was something about it that you can't really buy into the hype against somebody like Woodley because he was already well established in my mind and didn't have to be the most likable guy to recognize how much of how alone he's really been up there in that number one spot in the welterweight division.
Yeah, that is a fact. Tyron Woodley, I think he's going to be a champion for as long as he wants to be. All right, guys, let's take a look at the prelims. Anything that sticks out, any fight that you guys are particularly looking at and saying, okay, I'll fucking watch this. Miguel, let's start off with you. What do you think?
I think the very obvious one, at least from my eyes, is definitely Jeremy Stephens against Zabit. I think it's kind of a bit of a toss-up for me, just because, Jeremy Stephens has been around for a while. He has some really heavy hands. He likes to get in your face, but is he going to be able to really get inside on a guy that really relies on his reach and Zabit? And Zabit, he's being tailored. He's being treated a little nicer. They're trying to make him climb up the rankings. I believe after this, he'd be in a spot where he'd be one fight away from somewhat of a title shot if Max decides to stay in that division. So I think this fight in particular is really, really deserving of that main card. But I understand how promotion works and how they need a really good main event for the prelims. But I think this contest is really, it's in the, it really well can be in the main event card.
Yeah, for sure. Mike, what do you think about this prelim card?
The prelim card, the four fight prelim card that I think ESPN is going to have is great. I mean, it really is. It's great from top to bottom. As Miguel mentioned, this could easily, the Stevens and Zabit matchup could easily be on the main card, but as he mentioned, the reason why is because ESPN, is like, hey, we, give us a good main event for our, that's why they draw almost 2 million views though, which is huge. And I bet you if you were to ask these guys competing, a lot of the guys that I do ask, hey, are you upset that you're on this? They're cool with being on that, man, because ESPN's a huge platform and they're getting 2 million hits, which is far more most of the time than these pay-per-views are. So they don't mind it. So to piggyback off Miguel's point, Jeremy Stevens Zabit, that is a tremendous matchup. And I know that Zabit is the flavor of the week, and and I'm not taking anything away from him. He is a killer, right? But let's just note here that this is a big jump up in competition for Zabit. I mean, it is the last guy that Zabit fought is probably the toughest guy that he fought. That's Brandon Davis. Maybe you could argue before that, Kyle Bochniak. But exactly those names: Brandon Davis, Kyle Bochniak. A lot of guys are probably like, who? A lot of hardcore guys who know who I'm talking about. But the casuals are like, who exactly? Jeremy Stevens is a massive step up in competition for Zabit, so I think that is something to keep an eye out for. Because Jeremy Stevens is just a killer, man. Every single punch he throws to knock somebody out. So it's gonna be interesting, man. Also, the Misha Serkinov Johnny Walker fight, dude, that Johnny Walker kid. He just competed in Brazil not too long ago, and he had another highlight reel knockout. That kid's special. Misha Serkinov is a super tough grappler, so that's gonna be interesting to see if Johnny Walker can continue this amazing rise that he has. It's really crazy. Have you guys seen this kid, Johnny Walker?
Not too familiar with it.
15-second knockout, right?
Yeah, it was something
quick, something
crazy.
Like
yeah. And then the fight before that too, he had it was like 2 in a row. The Justin Ledet fight, he 15 seconds spinning back fist, and then the fight before that, the spinning back elbow against Khalil Roundtree. I mean, this kid's crazy. So that's another fight to keep an eye out for on the prelims.
And if I'm not mistaken, is he stepping into this fight, or did he step into that last fight?
Oh, Walker?
Yeah.
I think Walker's stepping into this. I don't know if this was officially I don't know if this was the first fight that was booked or not.
I think he stepped in, but I think they were making a deal about it because it was such a quick turnaround from his last fight.
Yeah, it is a quick turnaround.
Been a couple weeks.
Yeah, but it went 15 seconds and he didn't take one single blow. So you know what I mean? What are they? Nowadays people will find a reason to cry about anything, right?
Yeah, you're right.
I am looking at his 15-second knockout. I don't even know what to say.
And check out the one before that. Check out the Khalil Roundtree knockout. That is even more spectacular.
But this guy's confidence is just riding high at the moment. So
oh my god!
I mean, you put him in there, and you put him in there against DC, and he'll probably think the same thing right now.
No, I mean DC's a whole other animal, right?
Yeah, no. DC is at the top of the game. I was just exaggerating a little bit.
And then also on the prelims too, Cody Stamann, he's fighting Alejandro Perez. That's a great fight. And then Diego Sanchez fighting Mickey Gall. So I mean, all 4 of those fights on ESPN. That's a really solid prelim.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I am actually looking at one of your tweets, Mike, and you said UFC 235 prelims are better than most main cards, or you were referring to UFC prelims as a whole, to which I want to say at least for 235, maybe not better, but that's good for a free card, essentially. It's a damn good card, and we just went through it, and we are pretty excited. You guys,
I'm actually interested in.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm interested in Mickey and how Mickey Gall's gonna perform now, because you can tell the UFC is really trying to get him back on that winning record, and Diego Sanchez is he's a veteran, so he's gonna be in there with somebody that has a lot of experience.
Yeah. I like Mickey Gall. I think the kid's talented. I like his mouthpiece. I think he's training with the right people. He's been training with the Diaz brothers. He's been training with Joe Schilling. And, man, I think that kid, if he continues the way that he's going, I think that he has a lot of potential in that division too. Well, Diego Sanchez is a guy that you really got to, he's going to have to come with his A game, because that dude, you need to run him over with a car twice.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. He's a fucking psycho. Just his demeanor is... It's psychotic. I don't even. I would be terrified, but then again, I'm not a fighter, so. Good fucking card, though. Real good fucking card. Anyway, main card. Let's talk about that. We already touched a little bit on the title fights and all that. Do you guys want to go into the title fights, or do you want to talk about the well, I mean, we talked about Cody Garbrandt.
Well, the first fight is Cody and Pedro Munoz.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So we did kind of touch on that, but I think we should talk about Ben Askren and Robbie Lawler. We talked about Ben Askren and his debut, but what do you guys think of the matchup?
It's an interesting matchup, man. You know, you have a guy in Ben Askren who it's no secret what he wants to do, right? He wants to make it dirty. He wants to grapple. He wants to get the fight to the ground. And you have a guy in Robbie Lawler who wants to keep the fight standing. And he's coming off of kind of an ugly loss against RDA, you know, when RDA kind of beat him up a little bit on Big Fox. So, you know, I don't know, man. This is an interesting fight. Are we going to be able to finally see what Askren can do on the big stage, or are we going to get that Robbie Lawler of 6 years ago, that just straight killer that was knocking everybody out? It's going to be crazy. I, for one, think I lean towards probably Askren in this, but I don't know. I'm not making my pick yet.
Smart. Miguel, what do you think about this
That's
matchup?
right.
This Ben Askren debut.
I believe it's contrary to what Ben actually thinks. I think that they tailored this fight a little bit for Ben Askren. You know, just because he does have a really strong stand-up game, but then again, can he really release what he likes to release without worrying about the takedown too much? Because that plays a big factor in Robbie's attack. So, with Ben Askren, he's going to be extremely paranoid on the wrestling of Ben Askren. And Ben Askren also, can he really deal with somebody punching him as hard as Robbie will? Because, I mean, when was the last time that he fought? Getting punched in the face I'm sure it's something else. It's not going to be as the same. When was I don't know, Alex, do you have the exact date of the last time Ben Askren fought?
It was 2017 November.
Okay, that's a lot. And what was the last time Robbie Lawler fought? Was it that?
When was that?
That's a little bit tougher. I want to say that was December 2017. So they're pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Robbie Lawler. Yeah, you're right. December.
That's gonna factor in. Yeah, but that definitely is gonna factor in at least a little bit, especially with this. Just how Mike mentioned earlier, how Zabit is going very high up in competition, and Jeremy Stevens. Ben is also doing the same thing, because Robbie Lawler, let's not forget, obviously he's been a champion, and overall he's still a solid guy. He's not that old either. He's like 36 or 34. I don't know. In UFC, that's not too old, So he's got to worry about his power a lot. But then again, can Robbie really count on his power without being too worried about the takedown?
Yeah, those are all good points. I knew that the point about Askren having fought the level of competition. I agree he hasn't fought the level of competition that he's going to see in the UFC, but he has fought when he was in Bellator. He has fought like Andrei Koreshkov, Douglas Lima, so he has had a significant step up in competition. But I totally agree with you. There's a step up even from there that he hasn't seen, that he's going to for the first time. So that definitely plays a factor. And I know that these guys see, like he trains with Tyron Woodley. They're good friends and they train for this camp together. So he's seen high level guys, but it's one thing to see him in the gym, and it's one thing to see him in the cage when the door's closed. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. And Ben Askren, I gotta say, his some of his antics. I'm not talking so much about the fight about his fight, but his antics kind of, I don't know. He just doesn't give a fuck. He really doesn't.
No, I love it, honestly. I love listening to him.
He's hilarious.
Yeah, he's funny. I feel like at times he tries to be a little bit like Chael Sonnen. He even uses the same lingo as Chael here and there, but I think Ben Askren is doing a very good job in really putting out his name and making people recognize him. And now, especially that he's going to make his debut in the UFC on pay-per-view, which is it's pretty big. Not everyone gets debut in that company on a pay-per-view card with 2 world title fights. So I think Ben Askren is he was put in a great position. Whether everyone says that Dana and Ben have beef or whatever, I think that Ben has a pretty good spot, and he's
No, and I
yeah,
actually really like something I really like about Ben is that I almost feel like he has a psychological edge over his opponents just because he's so honest with himself. He's so honest with
yeah,
them also. He almost has the same I guess trash talking habit that Dominic Cruz has. Like he's not gonna lie to you, he's gonna tell you the truth, and you're not gonna sit there and deny the truth either. And
Mm.
the reason why I like it so much is that he's so honest to the point where I'm not sure which press conference it was, but really the only one that they've had. He said, I want to fight Usman. Usman's the toughest. He's a tough guy right now. That guy's a good fighter. And then he also said Robbie Lawler is probably one of the hardest competitions for him right now, like stylistically. And so just with him being honest like that, recognizing the challenge that's in front of him, not really talking just BS, just makes it, I don't know, it almost gives me a feeling that he's psychologically ahead of his opponents just because sometimes you see these opponents not recognize the competition that's in front of them by belittling them, but he doesn't do that at all. He just does the opposite. He first recognizes that the guy is better, that is good, but then also acknowledges that he's a lot better. So
I think a
that's
lot of
something I
that
really
comes. I think a lot of that comes from him being a super smart dude. He reads a lot of books. He's articulate. Like I think a lot of that comes from that. He doesn't need to lie to himself like a lot of these guys. And a lot of don't fool yourself. A lot of these guys fucking have to do that. Like they have to tell themselves whatever it is, and he's not one of those guys, he can, Robbie, yeah, you are better than me on your feet, but this is what's going to happen. I'm going to use my better wrestling. I'm going to take you down and I'm going to beat you up because 18 guys before you haven't had an answer and you're not the guy. And what can you say to that?
Yeah,
And you're
exactly.
right. That it makes it fun, and that's why he's got a main card debut, right?
he's a superstar. That's all I gotta say. He's a superstar, and even if he never gets a belt from the UFC, he's a superstar because he's different, and I I can appreciate that. I don't necessarily like the way that he fights, but I can appreciate the fuck out of what he does because he's great. And you guys mentioned it. He has that psychological edge over his opponents. So we I think it's easy to appreciate greatness when you have it. Well, some people don't appreciate it, but Ben Askren, whatever happens, he's going to be a superstar. He's a superstar
I'd be
already.
interested to see what the UFC does with him after this because,
Yeah.
that would put him in line against Colby or Usman,
Assuming he
you know,
wins. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
assuming he wins. Also, if he loses, what are they going to do with Robbie Lawler and what are they going to do with Ben Askren? They just signed him on a 3-fight deal. I think it was a 3-fight deal, loses against Robbie Lawler. What do they do after that? So
I think a lot of it obviously depends on what happens with the Woodley fight, and then of course what happens with Askren himself. So I think once we know those things, I think you mentioned a lot of the options. I think either depending on what happens with Woodley and Askren themselves, I think you mentioned Covington and Usman. I think those are probably your answers, depending on what happens.
Well, we'll see if Covington comes back. That guy is something else, but good thing we don't have to see him fight. All right, so let's get into the title fights. We talked about Woodley, Usman. We were talking about them right now. Gentlemen, what do we think about this fight? Like we kind of glanced over it at the beginning of this segment, but what do you guys think? What does Woodley have to do to retain his title? What does Usman have to do to make it uncomfortable for Woodley and win this fight?
I just think Woodley needs to do what he's always done, what he's done throughout his championship run here, and that's just use his stand up, use his wrestling to keep the fight standing if that's what he wants to do, and just beat up Usman because Usman's got to come to him. Usman's got to come to him because Usman's game isn't counter fighting, right? So he wants to get the fight on the ground. He's going to come walk forward and. I don't know, man. I honestly have played this fight out a few times in my head, and I just don't see how Usman beats him. I just think Woodley is better everywhere. I think he's a better wrestler. I think he's a better grappler. I think he's stronger. I think he has better cardio. I think he's fought better competition. And I think all of that equals a win for Woodley. I don't see how Usman gets it done. He can land a lucky shot, sure. I don't know. I'm going Woodley here. I just don't see how he can beat him. I don't see it.
Correct. I mean, I
Agreed.
see Mike spelled out exactly what I would have said, with just the addition of like, well, no, not without any addition really. I played this fight out of my head myself also, and he's right. Like every outcome just has Woodley dealing with whatever it is Usman has to throw at him. Woodley just needs to be Woodley that night. Usman, his main strength is his wrestling, but then again, come on, man, Woodley with like he said, he's NCAA and NCAA Division One. Not only does he have that under his belt, he trains with Ben Askren, or he has trained with Ben Askren. And if you're Usman, how are you gonna shoot for your double when Woodley had a double thrown at him all throughout the Damian Maia fight, has it thrown at him by Ben Askren? Is there really anything? Also, with Usman striking, if he wants to pressure Woodley loves for you to pressure him, and we all know what he does. He backs up on that cage, and then he cocks that right pistol, and then blows your head off. So who knows where Usman's gonna want to take the fight, but I don't see Woodley overlooking anybody. Woodley has a really, really strong head on his shoulders. He has a really good team, and I honestly right now he's gonna be a champion like Alex mentioned for as long as he wants.
Yeah.
Now if he just stopped rapping.
Yeah, that was bad. At least he's good at fighting, so he doesn't have to rely on
That surprised me.
music.
He's kept it together for so long. A lot of fighters we have McGregor on the proper whiskey. They get a little sidetracked, and I'm surprised that he's able to keep it together because he does have his time split up. He's doing that TMZ thing. He's always he's acting, he's rapping, and I don't know. He's doing a lot of things, but surprisingly, he's been able to keep it together. So let's hope he keeps it going. If not, we have some problems.
He's just he seems like a balanced guy overall, with his game, with his responsibilities outside of the cage. So that's why, like I mentioned previously, he's gonna be a champion for as long as he wants to be. So I don't think Usman is the guy to even.
This is a weird point to add. I'm sorry, Alex.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to cut you off. This is a weird point to add. But I kind of don't want to see Colby lose, really, because then that would make it not funny anymore. Or that wouldn't make it fun anymore, I almost don't. I just want him to win maybe one more time, and then whatever, throw Woodley at him or Ben Askren. But I kind of don't want to see him lose right now because then his shit talking isn't funny anymore. Then like everybody just shits on him, and then he goes into depression or something.
They gotta give him a fight first.
Yeah, I think he wants to receive. I think he might go into Diaz mode where you better give him a really good paycheck or he's gonna chill out.
Do you guys think he earned that position though, or is he still a couple fights short of that?
I don't understand why if you're a fighter, why you would sit out at all. I don't understand that whole mentality. Like this whole new era of fighting just is weird, It doesn't make sense to me.
What I think it is, Mike, I think these guys just get some form of entitlement or ego problems. So, UFC, once they, like, for example, the RDA fight was a very high profile fight, and he felt like when he won, he should get treated, in that McGregor or Diaz type of treatment. So once that happens, you get some form of entitlement, which doesn't make you easy to work with, especially with the UFC, especially with somebody on the other side like Dana that possesses the same thing. So I think that's all it really is.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and that makes sense. But for instance, like the whole Tony Ferguson situation, like how the Holloway fight that was offered to him, and then he declined it, so they gave it to Poirier. I actually agree with Ferguson in that cause. Like a lot of people are saying like, well, why would you turn that shit down? Like, well, why would he accept it? Because he already had that title, and you took it away from him. So so you're giving him the opportunity to fight for something that he already had, that you already took away. You're letting him fight for that? Why would he take that? I get that, but what I don't get is like a guy just being like, no, I don't want to fight that guy. he's not ranked high enough. Like, fuck you. Like, fight.
Yeah.
You know what I
No.
mean? Like, that's the shit I don't like, you know?
Absolutely no. And I think there was a huge difference between Colby and
For
Tony,
sure.
you know. It's just because
For
Tony's
sure.
he's beat absolutely everybody in the 155 division. And you're right. Why would he fight for something that he already had? The point of an interim title is to fight the champion immediately after, you know. That's at least how it should be.
Mhm.
And so like Mike, like you mentioned, that why would he fight for something that he already had? Let's say he sits out. What other fight makes sense for Khabib, you know, other than Tony? Tony, you know, he's been deserving of that title fight since forever. He got in a freak accident, and he fought on the same card that the title was fought on. You know, so
I know, that's what's crazy.
exactly.
It's so fucked up.
So unfair, and you know, I wish the best for Tony, but you know, he's been mistreated, and you're right. Like there's no reason for him to take that fight. That's a dumb fight to take.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's hope Tony Ferguson comes back soon because that guy is so fun. His last fight against Anthony Pettis, fucking ridiculous, man. The bloodbath, everything about that fight was unbelievable. All right, so I mean, it sounds like Woodley and Usman, we have the same opinion, but we'll officialize our predictions in a few minutes. Let's move on to the main event, though. John Jones, Anthony Smith, Bones Lionheart.
Picogram.
Picogram, yeah, Picogram. I gotta say, I was watching the countdown like Mike was, but I was only watching the John Jones and Smith portion, which was like 30 minutes. Yeah.
I gotta get on that.
Oh yeah, you have to. It's a great piece of promotion by the UFC. And I was watching that before I went to school this morning, and I was a little bit swayed by what what's his name, Smith, by what Anthony Smith was saying. He sounds so convinced, so confident in his abilities. He even mentioned about the flaws. His coaches were mentioning the flaws that John Jones has in his game, and they didn't break it down, obviously, because that would probably give up the entire game plan, but they sounded convinced. They sounded like they know what they're going to do on Saturday night. But I'm not picking Anthony Smith to win this fight. Let's just make that clear. But if I had $100, I'd probably bet Anthony Smith to pull the upset. I'm pretty sure the odds are heavily favored towards John Jones' win. But $100 might make me rich for a couple months or a couple weeks at least.
He's a 650 dog, so yeah, you do pretty well. $100 wins you 650.
Nah, I'll be good for a week. Just a week. But I mean, overall, guys, what do you think about this fight? How is this gonna play out? Since you guys like to play out the fights in your mind before they actually happen.
Similar to the other one, man. You know, I love an underdog story. I just, John Jones, man, no one's been able to really figure out the puzzle. DC came the closest, and I think DC's, no offense to Anthony Smith, because as I said, man, he's been good to me and his coach, Mark Montoya, but I just did the skill level of DC compared to Anthony Smith. I think, DC's probably got the advantage, and DC's came the closest to knocking off John Jones. Anthony Smith matches up favorably in size. He does. His reach, though, is substantially shorter than John Jones. John Jones has a historically long reach in the UFC, 84 and a half, and Anthony Smith is only 76. So there's a big difference there. I don't know, man. I don't see how he beats him. I would love if Anthony Smith landed like that crazy spinning elbow and did it, but and I agree with you, man. He does look calm, and he even sounds calm, right?
Yeah.
And he's playing the part. And I think a lot of that does come with Mark Montoya, the Factory X's head coach. I think a lot of that comes from him. That very calm, when he speaks, there's not a word that Mark Montoya says that's not calculated. He's very meticulous, and I think a lot of that rubs off in his fighters like it has in Smith. But I think that when that door closes, man, And I think that he looks across that octagon and he sees John Jones. I think that oh fuck moment is gonna kick in like yeah, I know I said all that shit. I know I said Inferno Man, but motherfucker, that's John Jones. You know, like I don't know. I think there's a little bit of that, you know. So I don't know. We'll see.
I think psychologically, I really like what I see in Anthony Smith. Like that overall confidence that, like Mike mentioned, very well could be from his trainer. However, as much as I do like seeing Anthony Smith, uh, you can't, it's John Jones at the end of the day. It's really hard to put the marbles on each side and then really have them not weigh for John Jones's favor. I think John is very, very analytical. He's been preparing for this fight for the longest. He put it up on his social media quite a while back, actually, getting prepared for him. And he does look. I'm not gonna lie, he does look focused this time around. He does look a lot more focused than he usually is. And Anthony Smith, not so much that he'll have that fear factor in the middle of the fight, but I just think that John Jones is just gonna frustrate him into a mistake, and I think John Jones will eventually finish him. I think Anthony will become a little frustrated, and with John Jones having the reach that he does and the power that he has in his each and every shot, I think he'll get the job done.
All right, guys. So that's the preview for the UFC 235 card. Now I'm going to ask you, gentlemen, to do one more thing for me. I'm going to ask you to pick 3 fights out of this entire card. The 3 fights that you guys are the most confident in, and give me your predictions. Miguel, I'll start with you.
I think I'll start with Cody. I think Cody's actually going to take care of business. I think he's a lot more focused. I think he's had some time off. He has a good head on his shoulders now. I've heard him talk. He's a lot more relaxed. So I definitely like what I'm seeing from him, especially with the advantage that he has on the stand-up. Believe it or not, Ben Askren. I just have such a good feeling, just especially from his confidence that he rains down. And Woodley. I think Woodley is almost I would put the house on Woodley at this point of his career. So those are my 3.
All right.
3 very good ones. I would probably go Woodley number 1 because he's going to be champion probably as long as he wants. I think we agree. Number 2, I'll probably go Mickey Gall over Diego Sanchez. I'm pretty confident that the young dude gets that done. And then I go probably back up top to John Jones beating Anthony Smith. As much as confident as I am about that, I mean, I would still love to see, everybody loves to see the upset. And, you could look back and be like, I remember when Anthony Smith, but I don't know. Pretty confident John Jones wins.
Let's not forget Namajunas and Joanna, because how sure were we?
Yeah.
How
Good point.
How terrifying Joanna was at the time, and I would kind of equate it to the domination that John Jones has at the moment. It was almost like when we set up the John Jones Smith fight, you're almost like, oh well, I guess he's fighting that guy. It wasn't really something that. Same thing with Joanna. When she got that Rose fight, it wasn't really like an exciting thing. It was almost like a given that she was going to take it.
Mm-hmm. So, very good point. Very good point. Open. Yeah, it was just like, oh, okay, yeah, Rose is next.
Yeah,
it was no big deal. Mm-hmm.
Well, let me see. I'm gonna pick my 3. You guys made some very good picks. I'm pretty sure if you guys were down in Vegas, you'd make some money. I'm picking Woodley, lock of the night. I don't mean to sound redundant, but he's gonna be champion for as long as he wants. Tyron Woodley, Ben Askren. I don't see him losing his UFC debut. Robbie Lawler, he's exciting. He's tough as hell. But I don't know. Ben Askren it's gonna be his night Saturday night. And as much as I want that Buster Douglas moment for Anthony Smith, I think John Jones is gonna win. He has all the tools. He is a freak of nature, and another guy that's probably going to be champion for as long as he wants, unless he fucks up or he does something stupid like he tends to do. Apparently not, because he's more active. You mentioned it, Mike, for the first time since 2013 that he's fighting within 5 months. So good for him. I hope he can still showcase those ridiculous abilities that he has. But Woodley, Askren, and John Jones. Miguel, you picked Garbrandt, Woodley, and Askren, and then Mike, Woodley, Gall, and Jones. Great fucking picks.
I did. And totally off subject, but you reminded me, since you said Buster Douglas, I was watching the Mike Tyson Buster Douglas fight the other day, and just because it was on, I was actually watching something and it was on, so I caught like the last few rounds, right? And I didn't realize this, but of course everybody remembers that being Tyson getting beat, knocked out, and Buster Douglas beat. But I don't think people realize or even remember that, dude, the round right before that, Mike Tyson floored Buster Douglas and got him to a 9 count and almost won the fight right there. The round right before, no one even remembers that. No one even talks about it, because the very next round, the most craziest boxing upset in the history of boxing happened. But I just think it's interesting that the round right before that, 1 second could have changed history, but Buster Douglas beat it by one. I don't know. Just thought that was pretty cool,
It would have been just another win for Mike Tyson. Let's just put it that way.
Right. Isn't that crazy? What could have been?
Actually, I don't know if you guys actually knew this. I mean, I wouldn't expect anybody to know this, but I once heard a video and actually spoke about that upset, and it was actually Buster Douglas's mother had passed away the week before. Yeah. And the week or the day before, something traumatic like that, and then that's what he credited it to. He said he couldn't end it like that, and it was like due to his mother passing away a week before that or something along those lines. So the only thing that for any listeners here, that's a little bit of inspiration. That's the only thing that can get you through something that strong is to go through an adversity that hard. So that almost explains that performance from him.
Yeah, and I'd go out on a limb and say it hurts more to lose your mother than to get punched in the face by Mike Tyson.
To get socked in the face by Mike Tyson.
yeah, for sure. All right.
Two things I've never experienced.
I wanted to put
Me
Mike
either,
against the wall here, and I actually wanted to hear a prediction from him for the Jeremy Stephens and Zabit fight, because
all right, more prediction.
I've been thinking about this fight a lot. One more prediction. I just wanted to put it back against the wall because I know it's a toss-up. So
yeah, this one is tough, man. Stephens coming off that loss to Aldo, right? That body punch loss to Aldo. Before that, he was on a 3-fight winning streak. Zabit is unbeaten. I'm looking at stats. I don't know all this shit. Man, fuck. This is a tough one, man.
Especially because Jeremy was seriously 1 fight away from a title shot. So if let's say he would have gone through Aldo at any, in any outcome, he would be right up there against Max or Brian Ortega.
No doubt. Do you want to hear maybe the craziest stat of the whole show?
Let's hear it.
The fact that Jeremy Stephens is only 32 years old.
Holy shit. Okay.
Right?
As long as he's been around forever, right?
That's what I'm saying. You'd think he's like 36, 37, but I like Stephens to win this, actually. I think Stephens will win.
I do as well.
Because I think he'll be able to, I think you mentioned it, I think he's going to be able to like bob and weave, get inside and land a big right, lock him on the ground and finish him off. Yeah, exactly. So I think Jeremy, if you look at Zabit, he's really flashy and he's good at what he does, but Jeremy, there's a huge level of competition there that I just can't wrap my head around, man. And Stephens is a pro, and he's going to come with everything, dude. And I don't know. Yeah, I like
What's
Steven.
mind blowing to me also is that fucking Zabit is 6 feet 2 inches and he's a 145 pounder. That
I know,
shit, I
right?
don't know. I don't know if you've ever seen somebody that's
shit.
145. I don't know if you've
Like
ever seen
bone
somebody that's
thin.
145.
Yeah.
There's like shorter guys than me that are 145 and they're tiny. Imagine
Crazy.
how thin, like he's fucking Flat Stanley in the flesh, you know?
Check this out though. But he's 6'2". Stevens is 5'9", but they only have a 2-inch reach difference.
That's gonna be a problem for Zabit. So
Yeah, 2 inches is not that much for having 5 inches of height on a guy. You know,
right, dude. I cannot wait for Saturday.
it's a loaded card for sure.
It is.
Oh, and then
a
quick
loaded
shout out
card.
to PFL.
Yes, sir.
PFL just signed a deal, a 2-year deal with ESPN. That's huge.
That is huge, and there's Mike repping the PFL.
Somebody educate me, please. I'm a bit of a moron when it comes to that.
The Professional Fighters League. This is going to be their second year now. They're like a tournament. They have like a season-based league, MMA league.
Okay. Wow. So
But,
it's good to see the sport taking steps. I know Chiesa recently petitioned in a way for the for ESPN to stream NCAA wrestling. I think that
Yeah,
would be huge.
Yeah, they should, man. Now that streaming is so huge, you know, there's so much need to fill quality content, you know. I hate that word, content. I hate that fucking word. I think it's the hard T, content. It's like cunt. Content, cunt. It's got that same cunt content. Right? That's why I think it kind of.
You get the cunty feeling.
It makes you cringe, Mike.
It does.
Never really looked at it that way, and considering the fact
that word is the most popular word in the world. Everybody says it now. Yeah. Everybody, you could find my content. You could find my content. Content. Shut the fuck up, dude.
All right. Well then, let's just wrap it up right here, Mike. Where can they find your content?
Pretty much everywhere. You can find me on lowkick, bjpen.com. You can find me on Cage Side Press. You can find me on my YouTube channel, which is just aka Straus21, and then on social media, aka Straus21. Thanks for having me, man.
Not a problem, Mr. Mike Straus. Miguel, where can they find you?
You could follow me on Instagram, Ocampo Miguel 9. And that I'm a boring individual. I just like watching fights a lot. So,
hey, that's not boring. If that's the case, then I'm boring too. So,
me too.
We're all boring. Mike's boring.
I'll go on all day about fighting, but
this is
can't get me on Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is
to talk about fights.
Snapchat,
all right, gentlemen.
Like yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. UFC 235 this Saturday. I repeat, do not miss this card. And MMA gods, if you're listening to this or if you're watching this, whatever, no injuries, no missed weights, please. UFC 235 Saturday. Thanks, guys.
No picograms, please. No
picograms either. Thanks, guys.
See you.
Thank you, guys.
And at this time, I would like to welcome Roger Romo to the very first episode of the Dirty Brawlers Podcast. He is a former boxer. He is out of Oxnard, California. That gives it all away. He's trained many different fighters. I'm not even going to try to mention all of them. Roger, how are you, my man?
I'm great, brother. I'm great, and I'm glad that you call it Oxnard. You know that I need a patent that because or copyright or whatever you got to do for that, but. I actually, when I was fighting, we had a press conference, and I said, when they were asking me about how it is to train here, and I go, man, it's how do you like Oxnard? And I love Oxnard. I was there all my life, but I'm not calling it Oxnard no more. It's called Boxnard. And I said, I have the thing filmed, so I'm gonna have to go and get that trademark because that's me. I invented that word.
You're gonna have to send it over to me so we can share it and let the people know that it was you.
Of course.
So, were you born in California, or?
I was born here in Oxnard, born and raised, brother.
Wow. Okay. All right. So
all my life, been here all my life.
Hometown. All right. That's awesome, man. So, one of the guys that you've worked with in your career as a strength and conditioning coach is Vasyl Lomachenko, and he has a fight coming up April 12th.
Right.
What do you think about this fight? To me, it kind of came as a surprise. I didn't think he would fight Kroya. I believe that's how you pronounce his name.
Yeah. I mean, I helped him a bit. It was more my partner Cecilio Flores and me and him. We worked together. It's like my brother. So we're no longer working with them, and I mean I think it showed in the last fight. I mean it took them how many rounds to beat somebody that Gervonta knocked out in a few.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of people don't think that the conditioning is a big factor, but you know what? Boxing has changed a lot. A lot of people think that you got to stick to that old school training method, and nah, man, boxing is different now. It's there's a lot more athleticism now. There's a lot of more naturally gifted people to where you have to have that extra edge. And this fight, I'm like, I was thinking he was gonna fight, someone good.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not taking anything away from his opponent, but I mean, I think they're doing a little too much. Taking care of him. I mean, he's older. He's gotta, if he wants to be a legend, like you gotta dare to be great. I mean, look what Mike Garcia's doing.
Yeah.
Mike is young. And I didn't like it personally. I didn't like it. I mean, but you're gonna have a great performance by Loma, of course, and it should be another victory. But I think he needs to step it up a little more.
Let me ask you this though: is Vasyl Lomachenko the fighter that you work with that has the most natural raw talent, or is it someone else? Because we see it in the ring every time he fights. He's unbelievable. His footwork is ridiculous. His speed is you can't even see the punches. Is he the most talented fighter you've ever worked with?
I want to say possibly that, yeah. Natural. I mean, when I was fighting, I was working a lot, but not training him. I was sparring and training with Sergio Martinez, and that that was like for him to start boxing at 21,
yeah,
and to do the things he did and to fight the way he fought. It was crazy because when we sparred, I had my hands down. He had his hands down because I used to fight with my hands down. And he's like, you fight with your hands down too? I go, yeah, man. Been doing this since I was a kid. And this kid, this guy, he wasn't a kid. But this guy, very athletic, very hardworking. I want to say that him and Loma are head to head. The way their work ethic, they work hard. There's no excuses. There's no, oh, my feet hurt or my hand hurts, I can't do this today. I remember sparring with Martinez one time. He hit me on the elbow before he was throwing a body shot, and he kind of winced in pain. Hey man, you all right? He goes, no pasa nada, tengo la otra mano. I mean, I don't. It's all good. I have my other hand. So those are the kind of guys that they're not just naturally gifted, but they work hard. They're hardworking. So Lomo is a workhorse. He runs hard. He trains hard. It's like there's no reversing. He's in fifth gear all the time, man.
Wow. You left me speechless, and I'm supposed to actually be talking. This is unbelievable because it's such high praise for Sergio Martinez, and I'm kind of looking back at his career, and we didn't really appreciate him as much.
That's how it is.
Oh my God, man.
That's how it's that's how boxing is. It's a little harsh that way with the public. I mean, I'm with my brother. Even with my own brother, man. It's like people used to talk so much. Well, I mean, he lost to this person. He lost to this person. Okay, but my brother dared to be great at 21 years old. My brother was the youngest. Everybody knows that he was the youngest ever junior middleweight champion. And they gave Canelo a belt against who? My brother took the belt from Yori Boy Campas. So, now I seen it the other day. I was at the fights at the Leo Santa Cruz, at the Microsoft Theater, the Leo Santa Cruz fight. And they showed him on the screen. Everybody cheered. They don't appreciate you until you're gone.
Yeah.
The type of fighter Maravilla, I know people miss him now, because he was a warrior. He would fight anybody. He didn't care. And the thing is that no one wanted to fight him. He called Floyd out. He was at 54 for a bit, and then he moved up to 60. But he moved up because, Manny didn't want to fight him. He even said, I'll come down to 150. Floyd was like, nah. That's pretty scary, if you're scaring Floyd. If you're scaring Floyd, you're scaring Manny Pacquiao. All these guys are saying, a bunch of excuses. Fight the man, but it was a crazy time then, man. Being around that and being around that environment and being around, to me, I already knew he was going to be, he was going to be great. He was going to be legendary. It's just, he was old. He was older. He had injuries and he still tried to fight through them, man. He fought, what was that? I think Barker, or I forgot what fight, but he was hurt. And he fought that way and he got him out of there, man. But there was no excuses with him. He dared to be great, and that's what the sport needs, man. You need people like that. If not, then people are gonna watch UFC more.
Well, yeah, and I mean the fight business as a whole is so cutthroat. And going back to your point, but by the way, the person that you were referring to, for those people that don't know, your brother, you referred to him, Fernando Vargas. Am I correct?
Right,
Fernando Vargas. He fought Oscar De La Hoya, fought Ricardo Mayorga. I got to be honest with you, I didn't really appreciate his abilities. I didn't appreciate him much when he was active, but now I went back, and I can tell you from a personal experience, I became a fan, and not just because you're here. You can ask my friends, whatever it is. I became a fan after a fan of boxing after Oscar De La Hoya versus Fernando Vargas. That was the first fight that I ever watched. It was unbelievable. I'm like, I love this sport. Sure, I love soccer, I love football, I love other sports, but boxing, it's my new love. And that was one of the fights that really helped me become a fan. But yeah, everyone has to dare to be great, because it's such a cutthroat business. You need to take the chance whenever it shows up. So,
and with him, it was everybody's like, oh, they threw him to the lions too fast. People don't understand that Fernando wasn't a yes or no sir. He was a you motherfuckers work for me. Excuse my French, I'm sorry, but you motherfuckers work for me. I'm not your work. If I can't perform tomorrow, you guys don't care about me. You're not gonna take care of my family. You work for me. And he would tell his promoters, get me this fight. Get me the Trinidad fight. When and they were like, no, Fernando, he's just passing through. He was just remember, he had moved up. And then he beat David Reed, and then he was gonna go up to 60 because he was pursuing Roy Jones. Fernando goes, this is my fucking weight division. You're not gonna come to my house. This is mine. Get me the fight. And they're like, just let him. And Fernando took it upon he took it into his own hands, and after he beat Ike Corte, he watched the interview, and he says in Spanish, he goes, Tito, creo que eres un gran peleador, creo que eres el único que tienen los para pelear conmigo, quiero que enseñarte que este mexicano no corre y sí pelea.
He was referring to Oscar De La Hoya.
He translated it. He goes, translation.
Yeah.
He says, and it's on HBO. He goes, translation. Yeah. He goes, Tito, I think you're a great fighter. I think you're the only one that has, I think he said that, I don't know if he said the balls to fight me. And he goes, I want to show you that this Mexican will fight and won't run. So they're like, so that's what you want? You want Tito? He goes, I want Tito Trinidad. So,
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. They think that, well, his promoters did it. Nah, Fernando wanted that, and that's, you got to admire something like that. You can't say that he was babied or anything. Oscar, I'm not taking anything away from Oscar. He fought dudes when they were already on their way out. He fought dudes when they already had lost. Yeah, he didn't. The only reason he fought my brother is because of the performance of Trinidad. That's the only reason why he fought my brother. And I'm not making any excuses for my brother. But the truth be told, well, he was on steroids. Okay, let me tell you something. I'm a strength and conditioning coach, and as well as a boxing coach. Stanozol is what Olympic sprinters were using. They caught Ben Johnson using it in the Olympics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is a fight a sprint? No. A fight is a long distance. It's a long distance run. You know what I'm saying? It's 12 rounds. You're going to battle for 12 rounds. Fernando was never known to tire early, ever. And on his worst night, and I'll tell you straight up, man, when he fought Winky Wright, we were going through a lot of family problems, and he was young, and just to make weight, he didn't have a strength and conditioning coach back then. He was eating hard-boiled egg whites, 3 of them, and then just would drink NyQuil to go to sleep so he wouldn't eat. That was the week of the fight. And then he weighs in, he makes weight, and he shocks his body. He eats pizza and he drinks soda. You know what that's going to do to you? That's just going to shock your body.
Yeah.
And for him to perform the way he did, rounds 9 through 12, throwing over 100 punches around against a guy like Winky Wright, he didn't get tired. He still kept going. With Ike Corte, the same thing. With Oscar, he was tired in 8. Why? Because stanozol, it adds, when you add more muscle to your body, you need more oxygen. You need more oxygen to carry muscle. That's a lot of the things that they never told you when you're lifting weights, and that's why, I mean, weights are good to a certain extent, but naturally, of course, he was tired in 8 or 9 rounds. You know what I mean? And he still performed the way he did. No excuses. Oscar did win. He beat my brother that night, but he didn't beat my brother that fight, Ike Corte. He didn't beat that Fernando. So that's just a little stuff to clear things up about my brother and about people daring to be great. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. It's excellent insight, and I feel like the term he was on steroids is being thrown around a little bit too loosely nowadays. So that's like that. I mean, that's accusing someone of a crime pretty much, because technically you are getting punished. But anyway, moving forward, talking about being great and staying in your region, Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence, that fight that's coming up in a few weeks. What do you think about that fight?
That's a huge fight. I'm a fan of both. More of Mikey, obviously. I know Mikey since he was a baby,
Okay.
No, I've known since he was a baby. I remember when me and Fernando would walk to Mr. Garcia's house, the Big G would walk over there. He lived here literally a few blocks away. He used to always see me and Fernando walking or running to the gym to Colonia, which is maybe 3-4 miles from here from my house. And, I'm sure he saw a lot of kids going and leaving. So he didn't probably take us serious until he saw us really going and going and going. And then he was like, he told more Fernando. He goes, you guys are coming a lot. He was, look, I live right here. I'll take you. And I remember meeting Mikey when he was a baby, man. He was like maybe like 5 or 6 years old. And he didn't want to box. He didn't want to box. He was like, nah, I'm not going to box. We stopped. Nah. He's like, nah, I don't want to box. And the first person he sparred was my little brother. And he'll tell you and ask him. He goes, who's the first person he sparred? He was like, oh, Fernando's brother, Felix. And my little brother actually beat him up. And now my little brother's like his biggest fan. But Mikey, that he's daring to be great.
Yeah.
He's taking on a guy that's bigger, obviously. I know Mikey's working hard. He's putting some muscle on just to be able to not be bullied around, because, Errol Spence is a strong guy. He's a big dude for 147. I know the odds have it. I think they have him as a huge favorite for Errol Spence. Me, at first, I was like, man, that's a dangerous fight. But the more I analyzed it, I was thinking, okay, well, how many times did Floyd move up and fight bigger guys? Even when he fought Oscar. And he fought, and Oscar made him wear 10-ounce gloves. Yeah. Things like that at 154. And Floyd he was lighter, I think, the day of the fight than he was for the weigh-in. So, how do you beat someone bigger? How do you beat someone that's stronger with intelligence? And I think Mikey's a very, very smart fighter, not just in the ring. Like Floyd, his intelligence is his intellect in the ring is crazy. Like, how are you gonna stand in front of somebody and not get hit? It's not running. That's boxing. He's in front of you. Mikey, he doesn't waste punches. He's smart. Yeah, he's always in position, to counter or to punch. He's got great balance. So I think the fight's a lot closer than people have it out. People are like, oh, Errol's gonna run over him. I don't think so, man. I think I might be a little biased because I know Mikey, but I'm going for Mikey. I think Mikey can take it, man. I think Mikey can take a decision. It'll be close, but I think Mikey will take it.
It's not crazy at all, man. It's
Yeah.
not crazy. People, and again, this goes back to not appreciating Mikey Garcia. He did have a pretty big layoff in his career. A lot of people would say that is the prime of his career. He was having a contractual dispute and
Right.
stuff like that. But anyway, he came back and he started taking out guys. He beat Broner, if I'm not mistaken. He even beat Robert Easter. And
Yeah.
now he's and now he's coming in to fight Errol Spence. He's fighting him in Dallas, and he's fighting him at 147. This, I can understand why the odds are so in favor of Errol Spence. But you're completely right, man. The way you beat someone that's physically more imposing than you beat him up
Exactly.
here. That's how you beat him, and you put it perfectly. And it's not. I really don't think it's biased at all. Sure, you've known him since he was a kid or whatever, and that's a great story too, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. But I'm gonna have to agree with you, man. I think Mikey Garcia has that extra edge that he's so smart. He sees things. Maybe he can process things a little bit faster in the ring, and you better than anyone knows that things in the ring or
in a split second.
It comes at you. Yeah.
Oh, you saw like when he knocked out Lipinets.
Yeah.
He caught him with that uppercut, and he saw him coming forward. He pivoted and laid that overhand and laid him out.
Yeah.
And that like this, and that's because that's how he trains. That's how he's always trained. A lot of people think that Lomachenko's those pivots and dropping the hand and all that. That stuff wasn't brought up by him. That's them. I think George Foreman used to drop the hands on people, but I mean Garcia used to show my brother, show Robert, show Mikey. There's a video of my brother dropping someone's gloves. Or if you look at the pivots, the angles when Mikey does the same thing. Mikey's a smart guy, man. And the thing, like I was saying, Floyd is smart. His ring intellect is smart. But I don't know how smart he is outside the ring. A lot of people make fun of him, because he can't read. Well, I mean, he can read, but it's just a lot of people look for things to come at. But Mikey is intellectual too. Mikey's smart. He went to college. He's very educated. If you sit down and have a conversation with him, don't talk about boxing. Talk about something else. Mikey's very smart, and to be smart, Mikey's school smart, so book smart, street smart, and ring smart. I mean, that's a lot of people don't take those things into consideration. A lot of people just think it's black and white. It's just okay. Well, he's bigger and stronger, and he's smaller. Nah, man. There's a lot to this. There's a lot more to this. This game. This. It's not a game. It's what did Denzel say? This shit's chess. It ain't checkers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of mind in it.
So, I mean, these characteristics of Mikey Garcia, if you ask me, I think he's a genius then because he's smart all around. So it's going to be a tough fight for Errol Spence. We're not saying that Errol Spence is, whatever.
Errol Spence is a great fighter.
Yeah.
He's a great fighter.
Do you think Errol Spence might have bit off more than he could chew, or is...
I think, you know what? From the things I've been seeing in interviews and stuff I've been seeing, usually he's a little heavy. He's not heavy right now. I think he's taking it serious. He said recently, he goes, I'm looking at this fight. He goes, I seen at the press conference recently in Dallas, he goes, I see how serious he is. And he goes, I'm glad I'm training as hard as I am. He knows that it's not going to be an easy fight. He knows. No, he knows, and especially when you got, not to put race in him, but when you got a Mexican that has, the word, I'm sorry to say, balls, you're going to have a tough fight. It's going to be a tough. He knows. They both know. So they're both training hard, and at the end of the day, who's going to win is us. The public wins because we get to see a great fight, and you never know what happens. Say, it goes decision. They might do a rematch. They might do 2-3 fights. You never know. It might be one of those Leonard Hearns type fights. You know what I'm saying? You never know. You never know what you're gonna get with that. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's always one of those things that we think about with when two great fighters face off. The second fight, a potential
Right.
trilogy. So yeah, we're definitely looking forward to all of
Right.
that. Let's move up in weight a little bit. Let's go up to the heavyweights and talk about the three champions on three different networks. Tyson Fury just signed with Top Rank and ESPN.
Yeah.
So what? How do you think the landscape of the heavyweight division changes with these three guys fighting on three different networks?
At the end of the day, they make it work. There's too much money for them not to make it work. There's too much money to be made for the networks and for the promoters to not. They've done things where they do dual networks working together. It's not gonna change much. A lot of people, well, they're not gonna be able to fight. They'll make it happen. And I hope that they have that type of that want and need to be great to say, nah, make the fight happen. The throwbacks to when everybody fought everybody. I think the heavyweight division is actually like looking nice now. It was been dead for a while. Tyson Fury. I mean, who would have thought he would have did what he did with? I mean, I knew he was gonna outbox him, but when he got knocked down, everybody was like, he's not gonna get up. He's not gonna get up. And the way he got up, man, I was like, that I liked him a lot because I knew Tyson Fury's got the most boxing ability out of all of them. He can box, he can move. He's a big guy, but he can move. He moves his head. I love his head movement. I love his footwork. The way you fought Wilder, after the layoff and after drugs and after bad mental health problems and for him the way he looked, I mean, that says a lot. And I think that a lot of guys are gonna have problems with him. Wilder, Joshua, hard hitting guys. Hold on, let me check. Hard hitting guys. They're good. I think Joshua has more boxing ability than Wilder. Wilder gets a little wild. It's a good name for him.
Yeah.
His last name fits him perfect because the way he throws punches, almost falling on himself.
Yeah.
But the guy can hit. He can crack. If I would love for Wilder to work a lot more on his craft than rely on power and conditioning. But it's a good division right now. It hasn't been that good for a while, and then I hear Usyk's moving up to fight at heavyweight. So that's another guy to look at. The way he dominated the cruiserweight division. That guy. That's another guy. I've seen him train. That guy is so light on his feet, man, and he's fast, and his punch output for that weight is crazy. So, those guys have someone to worry about with Usyk coming up too, man. I just hope that they all fight each other. You got King Kong as well, who I like the way he fights. He's strong, but he's a bit older. Usually the Cuban fighters, because of how the amateur program was before, they're usually older getting into the game. So yeah, I think he's got a good year or two left. But hopefully he's up in that mix still.
Yeah. So in other words, the heavyweight division is back and it's alive.
I think
that's
so.
what I got. Yeah, that's great.
So. Yeah. We need it.
Yeah.
We need it.
Yeah, because people love to see these big guys just whacking each other across the face. They absolutely love it. They love to consume it. That when boxing was popular here in the States, long before you and I were born, it was Muhammad Ali, and people loved it. People loved to see him because he was just fun to watch.
But you know what? And that's another one that they didn't appreciate back then. They would talk so much smack about it. But the thing is, with Muhammad Ali, when they ask me who do I think is the greatest, of course I think Ali. And it's not just because of boxing. It's because of what the man did outside the ring. He was a revolutionary. He fought for his beliefs. And they hated that back then. Times
still
have changed
do.
A lot now.
They still do.
They would have, yeah.
Yeah. People still hate.
This guy went to freaking Iraq and spoke to Saddam Hussein and had some hostages released. Like, are you kidding me? That's huge. That's bigger than boxing. That's why, to me, that's probably my favorite fighter, Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. Yeah, and every boxing fan has a spot in their heart for Muhammad Ali, definitely. And I think these guys are the heavyweights, the current heavyweights are making Ali proud wherever he is. So
I think so.
Yeah, wherever he is watching these fights, he's like, yeah. I approve.
Yeah.
So
yeah, man. Yeah, I think so too, man. It was crazy honestly when he passed away. I ain't gonna lie, a few tears came out of my eyes, man. It was crazy. I was fortunate enough to meet him once.
Wow.
I met him, and I remember it was when Tyson was in a fight. He got off the suspension from the fight with Holyfield, and we were at the weigh-in, and Shelly Finkel, that was my brother's manager, he's like, hey, come up here. Mike wants to meet you. I was like, what? Fernando was like, what? Tripping out. And then Mike was like, yeah. And then my brother looked back like he thought he was yelling at somebody else, and he saw my brother, and he comes up to my brother, and he's like, hey, what's up, man? You're like me. I fucking love you. You're a fucking savage like me. I was like, oh, shit. I remember playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. And I'm like looking at that. I'm like, and he like loved my brother. I was like, man, that's crazy. So that's like the highlight for me of the day. And then this guy comes and says that, oh, he's Muhammad Ali's representative, that Muhammad Ali wanted to meet my brother. And I was like, yeah, right. And he sure did. He came, and Ali came, and he was still, he still had his speech was still pretty, you could understand what he was saying and stuff. And he was like, champ, and he's like moving, come on, champ. He's saying that to my brother. And my brother's like, no. And my brother puts his hand up, no. And he grabs my brother's hand and he kisses my brother's hand. Like, wow. I have the picture. I have that picture.
I've seen it on your Instagram. Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
man.
Yes.
So that's, that guy was, I think every fighter would have loved to meet him.
Yeah, and every fighter needs to have a little bit of Muhammad Ali too.
Absolutely.
Such a great person, like you said. It's bigger than boxing. It's bigger than boxing, and if you have such a big platform where you can truly show what you believe in and fight for what you believe in, then just take advantage of it. It goes back to taking those opportunities, like for big fights. If you have an opportunity to speak out for what you believe in, do it. I mean, it only comes once or twice, maybe. That's it. But
and that's the thing is that when you're in a position, when you become big in this sport, it's not just about you. It's about what you can do for other people. You know what I mean? I'm a true believer of that. I believe in helping others big time. So when people step out of their element and their comfort zone to help people and do it from the heart, it just shows you how great a person can be. Ali did that. A lot of people talk smack about Floyd. Well, he's always posting his money and he's posting this. A lot of people don't know that Floyd does a lot of stuff and he just doesn't broadcast it. You know what I mean? He doesn't. When Rudy Hernandez is my boy. I don't know if you know Rudy Hernandez. He's Chicanito Hernandez's brother. He's a great trainer. He's a good cut man. He's works with a lot of great fighters. My boy Rudy, I've known him for a long time, man. He's known me since I was a kid. His brother used to call me Showboat when I used to box. So
I wonder why.
Yeah, man. So I've known them forever. So good people. Rudy's one of my good friends. He told us, Chicanito, rest in peace. He was a great man. He died of cancer. That was the first guy Floyd fought for a world title. Mm-hmm. Floyd paid for all the funeral expenses.
Yes, that is a very famous story. Yeah.
And he I've heard he's done a lot of things like that, man. But see, people just want to broadcast the bad. When you have money like that, that's what's gonna come with it. The hate and the negativity. But deep down, if you're doing right, you won't keep getting blessed with more if you're not doing right. You know?
Yeah.
So that's what I believe.
At some point, karma is gonna bite you in the ass, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's a wrap.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, man. Actually, Floyd Mayweather is my favorite fighter of all time. I'm not saying he's the greatest of all time, but he's my favorite fighter of all time. You talking about Floyd Mayweather like that, it got me a little bit warm inside. I'm like, all right, You know,
Yeah.
he's not that bad of a guy.
I love Floyd.
Yeah.
I'm the guy that backs up Floyd all the time. I fucking love Floyd. I love the way he fights, man.
Yeah, of course.
Guy's a freaking genius. The way he fights in the ring, like, you know, and a lot of people are like, well, he was running with Manny. Running? What was he running? Running is what Oscar De La Hoya did with Trinidad rounds 9 through 12. That's running. Floyd stands right in front of you, man. He's right there in the pocket. And then, like, when Mosley hurt him, and, you know, the only reason why he was able to bounce, you know what, he like, literally just stopped fighting. All right, let's go. Let's go. He got hurt. And you know he got hurt.
Yeah.
You know, you can see it in his legs. But you know what saved him is the fact that he trains like an animal. And if you're not in shape, you'll get knocked out from a punch like that. You'll be out. But the way he trains, he keeps himself in shape. That's why he survived that. And then what did he do? He turned it around and just put it on Mosley, you know? Yeah. That showed a lot.
That's the type of stuff that I miss, man. Seeing Floyd Mayweather in the ring, that's a guy that we're truly probably not gonna see again, or someone even close. They try to make
supposedly he's training. Hey, he's training right now, and him and Manny, they put out a video. Both of them, they're both hitting the bag. Like, honestly, look, I think they're gonna fight again.
Okay,
I think they're gonna fight again.
All right.
I think so. You know, there was a video of him in Japan, and Manny comes up to him, and he's like, I'm gonna kick your ass again. Floyd, look, you want to know how I think it went down the first time? You want to know why I think why it took? Okay, look, the first fight didn't happen. Well, it didn't happen until it did. Why? Manny didn't want to do the VADA testing. Why didn't he want to do the VADA testing? Like, to me, I don't know how you're gonna come up from flyweight, and not taking anything away from it, but how you gonna come from flyweight and be knocking dudes out at 154? Come on, bro. Floyd changed his whole style. I mean, he was knocking dudes out at 130, 135, even a bit at 140. When he got to 47 and he even fought at 54, he boxed more. He moved more. You know, a lot of people don't remember that. A lot of people just wanted to, he moves too much. He moves too. Okay, well, how come Manny didn't want to do the testing? That's why the fight it didn't happen until he finally agreed to it. Okay, he agreed to it, and look what happened. Yeah. You know, that's truly what I think. And I think also what also held it back was that, you know, Oscar, when he fought Floyd, he kind of did a bit of a Don King thing. Don King, if you used to beat his fighter, he had the right of refusal for you for the next few fights. So, why do you think it was saying Golden Boy Promotions on Floyd's fights? Because Oscar owned a piece of it. He goes, look, all right, let's get this fight. Oh, you'll get the fight. Oscar's not stupid. All right, if I lose, well, at least I'm going to get money off you, because I'm going to have a few of your fights. So they both waited because Manny fought Oscar too. The same thing. So Oscar was getting paid off him. So they said, let's wait till our stuff runs out with him, and then we'll fight.
Wow.
No, legit. Why are you going to pay? Why are you going to pay this big chunk to him? He's not doing anything, you know?
Yeah, so, well, he has some equity in the company, so of course you're going to have to pay off. Well, that's some more interesting facts from Roger himself. Wow, I did not know that last part, but this whole testing, and I've had some conversations, some friendly discussions with my friends. I've been one to think that, you know, Manny Pacquiao was definitely on something. If you're not guilty, you are going to act like if you're not guilty. But if you are guilty, you're going to avoid a lot of stuff. You're going to make excuses for yourself or whatever. One excuse that I heard, and I may be even remembering wrong, but that Manny was afraid of needles. He has like 3 tattoos, man. Exactly. How are you going to be afraid of needles? Exactly. That's it blows my mind.
That's what I said too. That's what I said too. I
don't know.
But you know what? Because one of the tattoos is of his wife Jinky, and I heard that was when he was running amok. He wasn't scared of the needles then when she caught him cheating. And we're going out to say we're becoming a Maury Povich show now, but yeah, he wasn't scared then, you know. But yeah, they're gonna fight again. I'm pretty sure they'll fight again. I'm sure we'll get that fight, man. You know, we'll be able to watch Floyd school somebody one more time.
One more time. Yeah, that's all I'm asking for. Just one more time. All right, Roger.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Do you want to plug away your social media so people can follow you, your training, all that good stuff?
Yeah, man. Just Roger_Romo on Instagram, on Facebook, Roger Romo. I appreciate the call, man, and it was good chatting it up with you, brother.
For sure. You're gonna be.
We gotta do it again.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be a frequent guest on the show, and if you're ever around Chicago, just hit me up and we'll meet
Absolutely.
up like we did when we first met over there at the weigh-ins. That was a pretty cool experience.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad your
Absolutely.
fighter won. He got that victory, and now he's on.
Yeah.
He's on with his career, so good for him.
Yeah,
Good for
man.
all you guys. You guys are definitely putting the sport of boxing on a whole different level. You've been doing it over there in Oxnard for a long time, and
Thank you.
the fighters with the biggest balls come out of there. So,
Yeah.
yeah, man. Thank you guys for what you've been doing for boxing. As a fan, I'm telling you this, and let's do it again sometime, man. This was pretty cool.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely, brother. Great talking to you.
For sure. Roger Romo, everyone.
My man. Have a good one.
You too, man. Thank you.
All right, brother. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And that'll do it for the very first episode of the Dirty Brawlers Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know this was a long episode, but when you have people like this on the show, you're not going to cut them off. That's rude. These people are freaking smart, and they've been working for hours on this information that they want to give out to you, the people. So I just want to thank Roger Romo, of course, fucking cool ass dude. Shout out to him. Follow him on Twitter, on Instagram and Twitter too, at Roger_Romo. Miguel Ocampo, Mike Straus. They're gonna be frequents on the show. All three of the guys that were on today are gonna be frequents on the show. And man, you guys are just unbelievable. So we're gonna do it again not next Tuesday. We're gonna do it 2 weeks from Wednesday. Why did I say Tuesday? I don't even know. I'm that excited. Anyway, if you want to follow the show, you can follow us on Twitter at Dirty Brawlers, and you can follow me on Twitter at Alex Perez FC. That goes for Instagram as well, and Instagram is the same for the Dirty Brawlers as well, at Dirty Brawlers. Like the Facebook page, facebook.com/Dirty Brawlers. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate that. Follow the show. Subscribe when it comes out on Apple Podcasts. It's only a matter of time. We got to put up an episode so that way Apple knows that we're actually an active podcast. And once they see that we have some activity, they'll be like, all right, we want to have you guys on our platform. So, yeah, again, I'm going to sound redundant, but thank you. Thank you so much. What an episode. What an experience. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Have fun at the fights if you're going to go or if you're going to watch it. Just have fun. UFC 235. That's it from me. Take care. Goodbye.